All right, so Jonathan with me today. So Jonathan, thanks for coming on. How are you today?
I'm really good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. And so I thought today we could talk about finding deals and a really important part of the process. So can you give us kind of an overview of some of the different options then for how to find deals?
Yeah, well, of course, so finding deals is kind of like the hardest part in the whole process of, whether you're syndicating and raising money for deals or just doing it on your own with your own money. It's really often the hardest piece of the puzzle. There's always deals out there. People always show you a deal, but finding a good one it can be tough. And particularly in this market where the number of deals on the market has dropped by like 2/3. So what's on the market is even more limited than before. So having, it just becomes even more important to do the right thing for finding deals. So I don't know if you want me to go into just kind of like the overview of like different methods of finding deals or any particular route, but what did you have in mind?
Yeah, maybe just like the high level, and then we'll kind of get into them in more detail later.
Sure. So, there's a number of different ways to find deals, and they all have their advantages and disadvantages. But obviously, the most common method for finding deals, and the one that you're going to use most often, and it's going to work most consistently, is brokers. Right? Brokers are the market makers. When you own property, you're typically going to go to a broker to sell your property because they're going to have access to the most buyers and get you the best price. So the vast majority of deals are going to be trading through brokers, whether they're on-market deals or off-market deals. And, there's sort of, I actually break things down into like off-market deals and then like really off-market deals, like true off-market deals. Those are two different things. But so you've got brokers. Then you've got like the direct to seller, direct to owner kind of method where you can try to figure out who owns the property and try to figure out how you can get in touch with them and then hopefully convince them to sell you the property. And the advantage to that is that if you do happen to get one, oftentimes you can get one below market. So you can get a good deal on it. But the disadvantage is that it's really a numbers game. It takes a lot of effort to dig those up. But some people find the effort to be worth it. And then the other, I guess, method the one more is REO deals or bank-owned deals. And REO stands for real estate owned, which is when a bank forecloses on a property, it goes into their REO department. And their REO department's job is to get rid of that thing as soon as they possibly can, because they don't want to, banks are not in the business of owning real estate. They just want to have loans that they're collecting payments on. So they want to turn that back into an asset. When it's on their balance sheet, it's a liability. They want to turn it back into an asset, which means selling it and hopefully providing the financing to sell it, or selling the underlying paper at a discount. So that is also really great way to find really good deals, but it is hard because you have to form the relationships with those REO officers, and preferably you want to form those relationships before you need them and before there's a great deal of distress out there, because once there is a great deal of distress out there, they will be bombarded with investors, and they're going to reject 95% of them and pretty much all the people that they don't know, unless they're from some really established, well-known business. Then I think the rest of it sort of falls into the bucket of networking with people in the business. There are various people who may own property or, may have access to people who own property. Certainly property management companies, they're in direct access with owners. They know, which assets are performing well and which are not performing well. And maybe the owner would be open to selling. Accountants will know that information too. Lawyers potentially will know that information. So those are people that you can be networking with. Really, anybody who's in the business may potentially be a lead for this. You may even, through networking, meet owners of properties, and maybe you work out a private deal with them. But it's, it all, except for the kind of direct to owner, which tends to be sort of through mailings and stuff like that, or cold calling. Other than that route, it really all is about relationships, whether it's brokers or otherwise. So it's a relationship-driven business, and the more people you know, the better it'll be for finding deals.